Alright, I'm Al with New Reflection Technical Institute, and this is a pre-trip inspection of the trailer and the coupling system. Starting with the airlines. My airlines are properly mounted and secured to the back of my tractor and to my trailer. My airlines, there's no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, and no sounds of audible air leaks. My electrical line is also properly mounted and secured. It's not cut and doesn't have any bare wires showing. My red glad hand indicates emergency. The blue indicates service. The glad hands are properly mounted and secured. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. They're not missing any hardware. The glad hand seals are properly mounted and secured with no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, and there are no signs of audible air leaks. The front of my trailer is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. There's no legal holes or wells, missing rivets. My clearance lights at the tops are properly mounted and secured. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. They're amber in color, and they work properly. My frame on my trailer is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. The side of my trailer has at least 50% of the DOT tape down it. Up underneath my trailer I have cross members that are properly mounted and secured. They're not cracked, bent, or broken, not missing any hardware, and they're evenly spaced. The side of my trailer itself is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. There's no missing rivets, and there's no legal holes or wells or illegal obstruction. Onto my coupling system. Underneath my coupling system, my locking jaws are properly mounted and secured. They're not cracked, bent, or broken, not missing any hardware. They're locked around my king pin that is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. Now come on the side. Do my release arm. My release arm is in a locking position, and how I know, because I visibly just got up underneath and checked it. My fifth wheel mount is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My platform is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. My slide rail is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. My skid plate is also properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, and it's properly greased. And there's no space between my skid plate and my apron. My apron is also properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, with no legal holes or wells. My safety pin is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Inside my sliding rail I have a locking pin that's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. This is my fifth wheel airline that's properly mounted and secured with no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, and no sounds of audible air leaks. The rest of the trailer. My landing gear. My landing gear is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My sand shoe is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. It's free of debris, and it can be re-welded. My crank handle is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. And there's an ample amount of room between my between my landing gear and the back of my vehicle for turn purposes. This indicator light is also a four-way flasher and a turn signal that's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, amber in color, and works properly. Underneath my truck here I have air lines and electrical lines. My air lines and electrical lines are properly mounted and secured. The air lines has no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, and no signs of audible air leaks. The electrical lines are also properly mounted and secured. They're not cut and doesn't have any bare wires showing. My hoses are at least 18 inches off the ground. My tandem slide rail is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My tandem slide locking pins are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. My tandem release button is also properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. This is a spring hanger, a spring hanger and a spring arm. My spring hanger is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My spring arm is also properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. Underneath my truck, my air lines coming to my brake chambers are properly mounted and secured with no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, and no sounds of audible air leaks, and no missing hardware. My brake chambers are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, not missing any hardware, no audible air leaks, and it has a clamp. My shock absorber is an oil-filled shock absorber. It's properly mounted and secured at the top and the bottom with no visible leaks. My airbag is properly mounted and secured to the mounting bracket at the top. The airbag itself is properly mounted and secured with no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, and no audible air leaks. Inside this frame here, I have a push rod and slack adjuster. My push rod and slack adjuster is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, and it has no more than an inch play when the brakes are released, and it's at a 90-degree angle. Inside my tire, inside my wheel, I have brake pads that are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. There's at least a 1/4 inch thickness. The brake drum that is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. No legal holes or welds, and everything is free of grease and debris. My tandem tires, both tires on all 3 sides are properly mounted and secured. There is no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no signs of audible air leaks. The tread depths are worn evenly. There is no less than 232 seconds of tread depth. And the tires filled to the proper level. Whatever it says on the tire, I would check that with the tire gauge at the tire stem. The tire stem is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My lug nuts are all present. They're properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. A loose lug nut would indicate rust streaks or metal shavings from a cross thread. The inner hub is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. And it's filled to the proper level. This is a deflation system. The deflation system is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. With no leaks. The frame and the tire has no gap between my tire and frame that would indicate a flat. The rim itself is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. There's no legal holes or welds. The dual space between my tires are also properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, and it's free from all debris. I would inspect this axle like I did this axle. The mud flaps are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. They're not touching the back of my tire, and they're not touching the ground. Back of the trailer. My trailer doors are properly mounted and secured. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. There's no legal holes or welds. The hinges are all properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, and they work properly. My clearance lights at the top are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. They're in the proper color, and they work properly. The DOT tape is 100% across the back of my trailer. My tail lights is a turn signal light, also has a 4-way flashing light. These are brake lights. They're all properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, not missing any hardware, and they all work properly. My registration is up to date. It's properly mounted and secured. My DOT bar itself is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My door handles are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My door chain latch is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My door latch is also properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. The weather seal around my trailer is properly mounted and secured with no abrasion, bulges, or cuts. And now we inspect this side of my trailer like I did that side of my trailer.